Welcome everyone, Arthur Bablis here. Congratulations for getting to the Conscious Evolution Show, the podcast, part of the Evolve from the Inside Out community. And we're going to be coming to you here, we're going to be having discussions and conscious conversations. And our whole purpose is to get you thinking about your thinking, to ask you some questions so you can discover the decisions that you need to make in order for you to start moving your life forward. How do you bring in more joy, more love, more happiness, more success into your life? You see, leadership, success and happiness, it doesn't just happen, it's cause and effect. Being a world-class therapist, an extraordinary coach and heart-centered healer requires you to do the inner work, to continually grow and evolve. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you what I've learned on my journey in this wonderful field, blending modern science, traditional wisdoms and spiritual laws to help you to discover that essence inside of you and ask yourself the questions to help you to finally break through. Here's a question: who would you be, what would you do, and how would you feel if you already had blank? Think about that. This podcast is going to help you fill in the blanks. This is Arthur Bablis. Welcome everyone, Arthur Bablis. It's that time. It's the Conscious Evolution Show, Conscious Conversations with Conscious Mastery Academy. That's our organisation. And today I'm so excited because, I've got a person that's a dear friend of mine. He's one of the peak professionals in this industry. I mean, we had a conversation beforehand. What are we going to talk about? We're just going to have some fun. We're going to connect as friends, but we're also going to share with you from our experience in this field of complementary medicine, human performance and personal growth, what we've experienced in the industry over the last 30 years, collectively 50 years together, and what I think needs to happen and what we need to focus on as health entrepreneurs. If we want to chart new horizons, if we want to move into a new era with the way we serve, with the way we show up, with the way that we make a difference, one mind, one heart, one soul at a time, then we need to be doing some work ourselves. We need to up the game. The industry's changed, the landscape's changed. That's what we're going to talk about. But before we get started, you know who I am, Arthur Bablis, and I'm excited to be. Haven't been here in our conversation of the last month. I've moved from Cronulla. Remember, this was the beautiful place in Cronulla that I had on the other side of my camera as I was here. I still got my videos, so I can put them on and feel great, right? I've moved to Willowware. My studio's still the same, guys. We're here, as you can see. We're ready to go. We're here to serve you. We're here to be able to do whatever we can to help you have the experience that you need to have in order for you to be able to break through. And in order for you to be able to bring all the love, all the joy, all the happiness, all the success that you deserve into your life. So guys, the person I've got today that we're going to have a chat with, not only a deep and meaningful chat with regards to what's happening in the industry, but a catch-up with a friend. I met this gentleman 10 years ago now, in 2014. And we'll probably talk about the conversation. We'll probably say 42. We'll talk about the conversation, what that meant for me and how my life went on a different trajectory. This gentleman has been in this industry for 20 years. He's been with the number one pioneering company in the field of human performance, the Tad James company. Tad James was my original mentor. I did my training with Tad when he had a mullet back in 1997, the first class I ran, my first class with him. And, 28 years being in this field, I can tell you, when I reconnected with the Tad James company in 2014 with this gentleman here, Mr. Conor Healy, my life changed. He's a person that comes from the heart, person that comes from the soul. He's there to support professionals, health entrepreneurs, trainers, people who want to come into this field to make a difference, people who have already experienced but want to take their game to the next level. He's been with our company for 20 years and, responsible for collectively the team, turning over $60 million as the COO, the person helping other people to actually make a decision. That sales stuff, it's not sales, it's actually helping people move towards what they were destined to in the first place and to make a difference. He's teamed up now with another good friend, Callum. Callum and I, we were in the same trainers training together in 2014, and they created Connect Coaching. So he's going to talk about that. And I don't know, maybe we actually call Callum and get him on as a threesome, do a surprise. Anyway, guys, let's bring him down because I don't want to be talking all day. I want this man to be talking. I want everyone, let me get my sound effects ready. Put your hands together. Bring on down the one and only Mr. Conor Healy. The crowd goes wild. And of course, you know what these before we start. Conor, thank you so much for being in the room, my friend. It's great having you here.
Thank you, Arthur. Your audience is incredible. That reception is the best I've ever had in any room I've been in. No, I appreciate that.
Either on Zoom or face to face, right? In a training room.
Yeah. Look, I'm really excited to be here because I get to share the stage with you. Someone who I've known for over 10 years now, very good friend. We've shared a lot of growth together in multiple areas of our lives. It's not just, see, the beauty about the industry that we're in is that there's a business element to it, but it's the human side. It's the personal side that actually allows and has allowed me to be in this industry for so long and help me be even more motivated now to work with people than I was in the early days. Because when you can fully understand how someone unpacks their mind, their thinking, and what motivates them in life and why they're even doing what they're doing, then you can tap into that and help them gain more of that. And if you can articulate that in a way and get them and sell them the idea that they're capable of more, which is the first hurdle, then that's when you have those really tight-knit lifelong experiences and friendships that start to form. And I cannot be happy to be here.
I want to stop there because you said something which is quite profound. Like, help people understand and connect to the fact that they can be more and they can have more. Like, there's more for them. So many of us go through life and we feel that we're not good enough or we're not worthy of having more. And having that frame in your mind, every conversation I have, my goal is to be able to help someone to connect with that essence inside of them, to know that they can be more, they can do more, and they can have more, but as a result of the person they become. And I think that's really who you are. You can see on social media all the when you left and you joined Callum and created your organisation together, all the love, all the likes, all the comments. You've made both you and Callum have made a huge impact on people's lives. It doesn't happen, if you're not there caring about them. And hey, you're right. We became friends. I mean, you've come over to our place and you've shot a few hoops in the basketball ring.
Shot a few hoops, had a few
Barbie, meet all the family,
and what are those? The Greek burrito.
We had that souvlaki in a year or
souvlaki, that's it. Yeah.
On the spit that day that you came over.
Absolutely. No, and I've also learned a lot from you, Arthur, and you've been an incredible supporter. And I've just watched you thrive and watched your impact grow and grow over the years. And it's when you're part of that, you get to sit back and watch someone else flourish. And if you feel good about that within yourself, then you'll be forever busy. We're in this industry because we love what we do. We love seeing other people thrive in their lives. Yes, there's a business element to it. And when you can get the combination right, it's a lifelong fulfillment that you gain in this industry. And actually, what I said before is a learning that I received after selling in this industry for many, many years. It's not just putting something in front of someone that matches their criteria and values, and it's actually about connecting with them on an emotional level. And if you really want to make a difference, you have to connect the dots on the emotional level. And if they can see the value in investing in themselves and you can help them get there, then you'll have a forever client and they will have a life that is forever growing. And there are how many billion people in the world now? There is so much opportunity in this world to help people perform at their highest and get to the highest possible level that they can be. And I just love getting plugged into people's journey and getting them to shine a light on their future and getting them plugged into their energy and getting them plugged into their goals.
I love what you just said there. I just finished a training myself yesterday to a group of coaches, and we were, introducing energy psychology and metaphysical studies. What I think is a missing link for a lot of coaches in the industry who just work with the yang mindset stuff, right? And I said to them this, Conor, I said, I started 27 years ago. When I look back, I'm more excited today about the possibilities in the industry than when I was when I first started.
Yeah. It's contagious. I don't know why. I do know why. It's when you've seen people creating exceptional results in their life over and over and over again, you know that it is possible for every single person as long as they apply it. Learning something is fun. Applying it is actually where the real value is. So it's when you're selling, and I say selling is not only a financial exchange. It's actually, again, selling them the idea that it's okay to break through their own fears.
Well, that's where the
fears of
transformation
success,
starts,
fear
right?
of failure, right?
Transformation starts with a transaction. That's
Yes.
the first
Yeah.
point of
Yeah.
transformation. Transformation starts with change. So, look, before we go on, because we're
Yeah.
going to get into a chat, I just want to say, guys, if you're watching, wherever you're watching, because we're streaming on all our platforms, on our pages in Facebook and my personal page, because I want people to introduce Conor, a friend of mine, to my my personal group, YouTube, LinkedIn. Let us know where you're watching from and who's watching. Just say hi. If you've got a question, I'll read it out to. Hey, look,
Please do.
we get good advice from a good friend of ours, Esther Porter. Remember Esther?
Hello, Esther. How are you?
Esther, how are you, Esther? Thank you, Esther. She's watching and saying hi. So, guys, just say hi here. If you've had a connection with myself or Conor, say hi, ask a question. But let's get started, Conor. So,
Yeah.
20 years in this field. All right, you joined the Tad James Company back in 2000 was it? 2004. Yeah, okay. So they went through some changes from 97 to 2004, but when you got in. So tell us about Conor then. Talk about Conor 20 years ago and who are you now? All right, because what was the growth that you went through within that organisation and the tools that you're exposed to? That's important, right, before we talk about who you've seen come through and in terms of the industry.
Absolutely. I'd finished my hospitality and tourism degree. I loved traveling. I was living in Sweden from 2001 to 2004. I was working in an Aussie bar. I was DJing and making cocktails and pouring beers. And I moved to Sydney. And look, I'd always had a big calling towards personal growth. I was one of those people that people would naturally disclose and ask me for help. So I was always that person that people could lean on for advice or a bit of a pick-me-up or, hey, it's okay, everything's going to be fine. And I loved seeing people walk away happier. And when I moved to Sydney, I saw a job in the paper, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. I thought I still wanted to be in the hospitality industry because I was 24. I was, still figuring things out. And when I started working, at the time we were called Advanced Neurodynamics, then became Tad James Company. I literally got a job, and it was sales over the phone. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. Oh, I found out it was NLP. I knew about Tony Robbins. I'd read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Alchemist, and a number of other professional development books. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So I naturally found it very easy to get plugged into people's vision about themselves, just naturally, pure enthusiasm on the phone. I made 100 calls a day and just got plugged into people's journey. And that's what I did. But after a while, I found it I found that I was doing well, but I knew I could do better. Then I did the trainings, and then when I did Prac and Master Prac with Tad and Adriana, it changed my life. The whole trajectory of my life changed from that point onwards. And then later on that year, I did the NLP trainers training, and again that took my entire life to another level. And I was hooked. I knew that this was my calling. I felt natural to be in this environment. My goal wasn't to become a trainer. My goal was to actually be on the ground level, to talk to people, to reassure them and help them take that leap from I have no idea what I'm investing in. All I know is that I'm going to be feeling better, but how specifically? So bridging that gap. And when I did the trainings, I became very, proficient and adept at communicating that to people, getting plugged into their model of the world. And through the skill set of NLP, I was able to quicker and quickly get plugged into people's models of the world. And then I grew. And then in 2005, there was a bit of a change of management, change of ownership. And Thad and Adriana asked if I wanted to be sales manager. I mean, I was young, I was 25, I had no idea what I was doing. I said, sure, let's do it. And then from there, I have, felt very privileged that I was able to grow within the organization. And metaphorically, it felt like they had sort of given me the keys to their Ferrari and said, don't scratch the side. So as long as I was able to, with the help of Bogdan, of course, who was the GM at the time.
What was the color of the Ferrari?
Yeah, the Ferrari was red. I'm a big 80s fan, so it was a red Ferrari with that beige leather. I just grabbed it with two hands and ran with it. And what I loved more than anything else were the relationships that I was able to build over that time. And I'm still in contact with people now that I did trainers training with in 2004. They're master trainers. They have very, very successful businesses. but we're still plugged in, we're still friends, and they still ring me for advice, and they still ring me and want to share the successes that they have in life. And I see them on Facebook, and they've had kids, and they've, gone through, they've lived in different countries, and it's the relationships that I've built over the years that have actually kept me so enthusiastic about it now.
Spot on. Everyone I talk to, as I said, has all these wonderful words to say to you. I was actually early on in the year, I was doing some stuff with Sebastian from Thailand.
Oh, yeah, Sebastian's great. He's good.
Right. So he's getting his first group of master trainers coming through, so we had to co-assess them. 2 master trainers.
That's right.
To assess them.
Yeah, they were from Vietnam and Myanmar, I think.
Yeah. And we just wouldn't stop talking about you. He just like, again, you're the one that made the difference for him in the choices and the path that he went. And so
I stuck with him for 3 years.
Sebastian doesn't even know that we're talking about him right now, but he's a huge flourishing business in Asia, right, in Thailand.
He does.
And this is the ripple effect that has been created because you've been able to push people to the edge. And this is important, right? Because I'm going to debunk a myth here. People say magic lies outside the comfort zone. I think that's bullshit. Magic doesn't lie outside the comfort zone. You push someone outside the comfort zone, they're in fight or flight, they're in trauma response. They're now saying, lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. I believe magic lies at the end of the comfort zone because you're still in your comfort zone, but you're pushed to the edge, so you have to explore possibilities. And so your skill from... You didn't know I was going to say this, right? So,
I had no idea we were going down this angle.
You think, oh my God, what's he going to say? Do I have to recover or not?
Your skill, in the trainer
your skill, there you go. So it's obviously emotional, right? Your skill, I believe, is being able to have a conversation with someone to push them to the edge, to discover they can be more without putting them in fight or flight, without putting them in so much overwhelm when they say, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. Right, we can't swear here, that's okay. All right. All right. And so to be able to click into that part of themselves, you know what? It's a stretch, but I've got some support behind me and I can do it because I can believe I can. If you push people so far out, and I know the theory that that's where it happens, but, for me, when you walk on the edge of you're walking the edge of commercial growth, personal growth, spiritual growth, that's where it is. And what happens... You make the edge your new middle. Wow.
Of course. Yeah.
And as soon as you make that new middle, you push to the edge again. And positive psychology, that's a confidence loop. You become competent with something new, so you're confident to push yourself more to the edge. You become competent with a new skill. So it's incremental things. And that's why you had the journey of people coming in, the incremental things, which you now have with Connect coaching as well too.
Yes, we haven't even discussed Connect coaching, where we are now. No, I appreciate that, Arthur. I really do, because I'm doing a sales training coming up, and
I'm enrolled. As soon as I was bang, I'm in.
That's exactly right. Thank you. One of the things that we're doing is a huge installation process, and part of it is looking at values. And when Callum and I did a modeling exercise, my number one value in sales is actually trust, rapport. So without that, nothing happens. And when I talk with people and I unpack their vision for the future, and I listen to where they've come from, listen to who they are, I have to get plugged into their capabilities. So when someone, yes, I'm convincing someone that they're worth investing in, but they have to believe me that, what are they believing? They are believing that I am so rock solid in them, in who they are as a person and their capabilities. I get plugged into them. And when I know and I can get a kinesthetic, a feeling of where their boundaries are, I'll absolutely, if I feel as though you're capable of more, Arthur, I'll give you a nice little nudge. And you'll know that I'm there supporting you.
Oh, you did that the other day on a telephone call, mate. Jesus Christ, I opened so many loops. Jesus.
But you always know that I'm there, and I've got your back, and I'm there to support you. And whenever you need that hand, you see, having that safety net, whether you need it or not, is often enough for people to take the leap of faith. Having that safety net there. And for 20 years, I've been a safety net for trainers, coaches globally, that at any time they know they can pick up the phone and ring me. Many of them don't, but knowing they can is enough for them to take that extra leap and trust themselves and take themselves further. And that's where I love taking people. I don't want to say to the edge, but it's sort of like when a new bird gets to the edge of that cliff and the parent bird nudges them off. they fly. They always do.
Hey, look,
It's
there's a
just,
wonderful quote, right? Come to the
yeah,
edge, they said. Hey, come to the edge, he said. They said, I'm afraid. Come to the edge, they said, they came, he pushed them, and they flew. And that's what it is. So let's get into it because, 20 years in the field, your hospitality before that, you just started on the floor as a sales guy, and then you basically were running the company with the help of Bogdan, right?
Yep.
COO, and responsible, not just in Australia, but the States and worldwide, thousands and thousands of people making difference with these tools and then developing business to help other people. So you've seen a lot of people come in with lots of backgrounds, doctors, psychologists, professionals, a health therapist, people starting from scratch, mums and dads, kids coming in to do this.
We've had kids, yes.
Yeah. And so we think about this field that we're in, for me, this wellness space, the health and wellness, complementary medicine, human performance, mindset stuff, this education. So much has happened, not only in my 30 years of being in this, but your 20 years. So tell us, what have you seen happen? And like what has happened for the industry
What's the evolution
change?
been like?
Yeah, and what's important now for us to focus on? So as we said, to chart new horizons as health entrepreneurs to move forward, to be able to make that difference and continue and to make the difference. And the big thing is to create longevity, because today there's so many people that just come and go, right? And longevity is the key of being in this field.
I am all about, I'm not get rich quick overnight, anything like that. When you build a business, you're building it for life. And even if you're not going to be in it for life and you want to sell it after 5 years, you've got the bones and you set it up that it's going to be infinitely successful long term. And that's where my vision is. And it comes to actually how I sell. When I talk to someone, I'm not just looking at them as, or talking to them as in the now. I literally bring up an internal representation in my mind of them in 5, 10, 15 years. And that's the image that I have. And that's what they get plugged into because unconsciously they pick it up. But coming back to your question, you see, back in the early days, no one really knew what NLP was. People knew what hypnosis was, but it was a bit on the outskirts, if you know what I mean. It was very, we didn't have social media. So the only way to find out about it.
It was this.
It was absolutely, it was Mulder and Scully. That's exactly what it was.
Sound effects ready to go, mate. You don't know. I'm like the John Blackman in the studio.
you press everyone's buttons, Arthur.
I love the metaphor.
It hadn't yet hit really the mainstream, and no one really knew what it was because you had to either research it, you had to look it on online. It wasn't just put in front of you. Since the explosion of social media around the 2013, in fact, no, I think I made my first Facebook account in 2007. I started advertising in it in 2009 or thereabouts. From that point onwards, the whole industry changed and it gathered and created a momentum like we had never seen before, because all of a sudden you will have someone who has gone through a change, their life has progressed infinitely, and now they're sharing it with 3,000 people. Now, out of those 3,000 people, a bunch will jump on and say, hey, what have you done? Then they go out and do the same thing. So the exponential growth of the industry has been phenomenal since the advancements of social media, because I could be sitting at nighttime in bed and I get the information. I could be on my train on my way to work and I get the information. So the sheer growth has been incredible especially over the last 10 years. So it went from running trainings and workshops with live audiences, and the only way you could find out about anything was to get to the training. Now you can sit in your living room and download the learnings, you can read the manual, you can get the experience. And where is it going to go in the future? You have metaverse. I'm not too sure how on the delivery side where it will go. You have the metaverse. You've got, I just saw this thing with, Mr. Zuckerberg and a friend of his. They were looking at goggles, and it's literally the 3D. They take screenshots of the person's face, and then they map that across the emotions, and it literally feels like you're sitting there. And that may be the metaverse. I'm not too sure. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but it would be, you put on some goggles, you're sitting there, and your coaching is done with the coach right next to you, and it will feel like it's live, but it's going to be in that world.
I love what you're saying there, because there's a book that was written in 2001, 2002 by a PhD medical doctor, quantum physics, Dr. Larry Dosey. He wrote a book, Healing with Words, and this book is called Reinventing Medicine. And he introduces the 3 eras of medicine. Era 1, which is, the mechanical medicine, pull, as Bruce Lipton says, pull the body apart, put it back together again, right?
Yep.
And then era 2, which was the mind-body medicine, psychoimmunology, well, that's that long word, right? And then era 3 medicine, which is non-local medicine, right? Like healing by distant, the metagenics. So we went from genetics to epigenetics to metagenetics, like beyond the environment. We're talking now connecting to the field and learning in the field. Imagine being able just to, I've got the data and send it to you. That could be it.
That's the next phase, and I think they're experimenting, and of course they are. And what would that landscape look like? We're actually in such an interesting time in society and life, especially anyone who's, I guess I'm 43, so anyone who was around before the internet.
Well, past 42, right?
Hey,
42.
We'll get to 42 in a sec. But anyone who's been around before the internet and after the internet, you can see how black and white that change has been.
So, Conor, let me ask you, because of what we just said, the potential advancements in the education, the landscape, and getting the information out there, not only for us as entrepreneurs and therapists, coaches, and healers, and from a learning perspective, but also imparting that information with our clients, right? What's important for that health entrepreneur to chart that new horizon? What's important for them to focus on? What are the things they need to focus on in order to ensure that they inoculate themselves from artificial intelligence and this change?
Inoculate themselves from artificial intelligence and this change,
so they can create longevity, so they can still
I think
that human value to touch to with their client.
I was going to say, we are human at the end of the day, for as long as we're human. And I think regardless of the noise and how we do it, being plugged into why we're doing what we're doing will dictate to a degree how we do it. So there could be new advancements, but if it's not actually getting the result with the client, and you're not getting the result because you're not getting plugged into why you're doing what you're doing, then I don't think it will take and get legs to progress further. How I don't know if I'm making much sense here. What I'm saying is that all the technological advancements that come along, at the end of the day, we have to get the results with the client. So if we have the technology, but we're not getting the results with the client, then I don't believe that level of technology will kick off within this health space. So how do you, answering your question, how do you take the knowledge and the learnings of one coach and implant it effectively within the client? I'm not the person to even...
But also for the coach.
In my mind, like, the ecological things come up as well. I think, duty for your client comes up.
Look, I love what you're saying. So, it's about the practitioner, the coach, the therapist, the healer, ultimately getting that result with the client.
Correct.
Based on the results that they want to achieve. So what, as a body, an industry, what does this individual professional, the health entrepreneur in this industry, need to continue to do to ensure that they get those results? Because we're evolving as human beings. We're evolving with the way we do things. We don't drive 65 Mustangs anymore. We got BMWs 440s.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So the way we do things changes. So what's important for us, for me as a practitioner, keep on doing so I can keep on showing up to get the result with a client?
Gosh, I mean, the simple things are making sure that you're current in your skill set. The simple things would be to every year upskill yourself, find out and work with organizations who are progressive, and get your CBD points up. But the results you get with a client are also based on your passion for getting those results in the first place. So at any time, you must also reassess your own values within yourself and make sure that they align with where the direction of the industry is going. So if everyone is only now healing wearing goggles, you need to ask yourself, is that how I want to do it? And if it's not how you want to do it, how can I continue to do what I'm doing through my communication to my audience or the communication to my clients? I think that as we evolve as a human race, and as technology evolves, travel, I mean, even right now, we don't have to travel. Right now, I've got clients in different countries, clients that I would never normally have. So keep up to date with technology as long as it doesn't take away from the effectiveness of the technique. And at the end of the day, the results that you're having with your clients, I would.
Yeah, and what you said, I love keep up to date with your techniques, the skill sets, continue to learn
100%.
to grow with your skill sets. How many people, you know a lot of people, but there's also a lot of people out there say, oh, I've already done this, I don't need to do it again. It's like, do you only eat once? You know what I mean? I mean, you're constantly.
I think it was Zig Ziglar. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, personal development is like a shower. You have it every day, whether you need it or not. And that's, I've always likened this industry to the health and fitness industry. Now, 100 years ago, there was no such thing as a gym. If you said to someone 100 years ago, I'm going to the gym, they would say, who is gym? And then 50 years ago, the gym was really only for the ones who could afford it. It was for the now there's a gym on every corner. There are more gyms than pubs. There are more gyms than post offices now. Like literally every corner of towns and cities, there is a gym. And that is exactly the direction that we are heading in the coaching industry. Because back in the early days, 40 years ago, you only had a coach if you could afford one. Now a coach it's a skill set they're looking for when you go in for a job interview. Do you have a coaching qualification? If so, with who? Do you have can you show empathy? Do you have critical thinking? The skills that we need as a workforce moving forward, the majority of them are taught in NLP coaching trainings and that's why at Connect Coaching, we have specialized in taking what we believe to be the most crucial ones, bottled them up, and they're the ones that we are focusing on as a skill set that you can learn. Because it doesn't matter what life throws at you, if you have the agility to pounce around it and overcome whatever hurdle that comes your way, it doesn't matter what comes your way, you have developed that neurology in order to overcome that. And that comes with agility of thinking. It comes with being open for change, critical thinking. And that's really where I think that's where the key is, as it comes down to the person.
Now, we're going to talk about Connect Coaching in a second. I've just put a message out to get your partner on as well too. So
Awesome.
We'll see if he comes on. But I want to ask you this before we talk about Connect Coaching, and you got something coming up, which I'm looking forward to be able to have that installation of values, the way to be able to help people see the value in what it is that you can have, what you can offer them, and start the transformation in that conversation with getting them involved. So I'm looking forward to that training with you. 20 years with the Tad James Company with a great man, Tad, on stage. You know, you sounded like him before, and you said we're human until we're as long as we're human. That's what Tad would say, right? Right. What's your biggest takeaway? And I know this is a big call. You probably have to look back in your memory banks, but what's the one thing right now that's sort of, for you being there at that moment, what you experienced with Tad and Adriana and the whole organization with Bogdan and all the people, what's the one thing that was huge impact for you and to this day has been a catalyst for you to be the person that you are? The one thing.
Put me into overwhelm and overload. The one thing, gosh, I've learned so much from Tad and Adriana. But when I first met Tad, literally the first thing he said to me was, "What are the numbers looking like?" And it was literally the first thing he said. "Hey, Conor, what are the numbers looking at?" And that became my focus effectively. And it drilled it in. And over time, I was able to see how someone could have such business finesse and focus on business and the result, but also have a heart and for lack of better words, give tough love to people, because he was very clear and very clear with his boundaries. So being, and this is actually, I'm just having an aha moment here. My growth has been about finding that balance between being able to make a good living, whilst being ecological and helping people and holding empathy and being plugged into people's growth and watching them flourish and get a kick out of that. You know, you're not in this business for the money. If you are, you're not in it for long, because people will pick up on that unconsciously. Our unconscious communication, people will pick up on that. So you have to understand the business side, but you're in it because for the love of the people, of watching them grow and flourish. So getting that combination right, and everything's a balancing act, regardless of what it is in life. But I think the biggest takeaway is getting that balance somewhat right and accurate. And it's like I said, it's never an even balance all the time, but having the skill set to constantly recalibrate yourself when needed. I think that's probably one of the biggest that I can think of right now that I've taken away from working with intelligence companies for 20 years.
Look, there's some things that you've said I want to bring to the front, have a conversation. And because of that, you said, what are the numbers are doing? That's what you got from Tad. You mentioned earlier when you started, you did 100 calls a day to touch base with people. I didn't hear you say you made 100 calls a day to make sales. You did 100 calls a day to connect with people. And that's a different intention.
My number one value was trust, Arthur, and rapport. And without that, regardless of what you do in life, if no one trusts you, you have nothing. I mean, again, that's a big generalization, but
so the point is that you did the work, you did an activity. So you need to have a mindset, you need to have a set of values, you need to have a set of an identity you need to have in order for you 100%. To actually do that work. And I'm sure that's the identity you're going to look at creating installation in your trainings, right? So I'm just giving you guys a plugs, right?
I appreciate that.
I take notes, right? So each time I talk to someone, I don't know where this conversation is going to go. So I take notes, we're going to have a conversation, right? Yeah. You mentioned the trainer's training. And like for you, the trainer's training was like the pinnacle. I want to say that too, because when I did my trainer's training with Callum back in 2014, for me being, 20 years or 18 years in the field at that time, I thought, I knew this stuff, like I got 2 strikes in the first day, right? Because I was starting with the boss. But for me, what that training did was help me get my neurology to another level than I thought possible. And to this day, I think that was the number one training I've experienced that I've gone to, I've done lots of stuff, but that was the one that really shook me up in my neurology to upskill me, to train me up as opposed to train me down, right? So I can be prepared for things that I wasn't aware of, right? Then the other thing is, you go on.
It's like going to the gym and being strong. You're not going to need that strength at every minute of every day, but having it gives you so much more confidence in life that it doesn't matter what turns up on a physical level, you back yourself with being able to take care of it. And that's what it gives you. It gives you this armor. It makes you, metaphorically, an armor makes you feel 10 feet taller. It just gives this belief within yourself that is already there. It just helps unearth it. And that's
and for me, it was such an impactful that I went on the next 5 years, right? The Master Trainer program, became a Master Trainer in 2019. I think I was the second with the TJC. I mean, Chandel was the first the year before.
Yeah, in Australia, it had been a long time. I mean, before my time. I didn't even know if there was one before my time. But no, you were one of the first, absolutely, Arthur. And you.
What's exciting though is that has grown, and we got so many people. And for me today, one of my students that did work with me this year's becoming a Master Trainer. So it's like, again, that's the ripple effect, that's passing one candle and lights another candle, lights another candle. Anyway, let me go on because there's more that we want to talk about, right? You said that the difference when you build rapport with people is you provide that safety net. They want to call, they can call you, right? So Esther's going, trainer for the trainer. Remember that?
Esther,
trainer from Esther.
I spent hours on the phone with Esther because she knew she could call me.
So you made yourself available, and that's what gives us, the professional, the client, the ability to feel I can stretch myself and go for it. And I think that's the missing secret today in this field of wellness, coaching, therapy, healing. A lot of people don't make themselves available anymore. Or we've got this technology and it's a group and I'm not there, and it's a passive learning type of thing. And they lose that connection with their client. You make your client feel available. They can connect with you. There's touch points to get hold of you when they need to. It makes a difference. So I want you to thank you for sharing that. And they're the things I wrote. Then I wrote something. I can't read my writing, so I don't know what it was.
Look, call me old school, whatever. It's the connection. I'm here because of the connection. If that goes, I'm just doing a job. It's the connection of the people and being plugged into someone's successes and pushing them to what I believe to be their full potential. that requires you to talk to them. That requires you to be there to support them, and that is why I was humbled when obviously after nearly 20 years at TJC, I moved on, and I was humbled by all the comments. I had no idea that so many people had thought so highly of me, and it was humbling, to be honest with you. And then shortly after leaving, I get a phone call from Cal, and he's like, "Hey, Conor, I've just started up my business."
Let's say we're going to get him on. Is he coming on? I don't
Is
know.
he coming on?
I don't know. I've sent messages out to my virtual assistant to get a hold of him. I don't know whether he's got a link. Maybe he has to get his hair done. I don't know.
Hang on, I've got a hotline.
Oh, here he is. He's in the waiting room. Shall we get him in?
Is he in the waiting room, is he?
So what we want to do is I'd love to speak to both of you to actually tell us about Connect Coaching, what you got coming up, and how you can help people like me who's been in this field for 27 years. So if you can provide a service for me, and you can provide a service for one who's been in the field for 1 year.
The thing with you, Arthur, is that when you see an opportunity, you go for it. When we first spoke, there was an opportunity, you took it. When you saw the ad for Connect and Convert, our 2-day sales training, you took it. So that's where you gift it.
We got the man in the house.
Callum.
Callum Hock is in the house. We got to give him a drum roll.
How are we, guys?
Callum, great to have you.
Okay?
It was the last minute we got you on, but we can make it a threesome.
Oh, you guys had such a good flow. I didn't want to come in and interrupt. So great to be here, Arthur. Thank you for providing this platform for us, myself and Conor. It's always been great working with you over the years, and yeah, it's great to be here on your stage.
Oh, mate, it's our stage. We're doing this collectively, right? Hey, mate, we were in that trainers training together in 2014, so we can say our stage, right? But
I remember something actually more funny, and probably not the platform to go into it on, but I remember in the 2016 trainers training when we were assisting, we had a little bit of fun there as well.
That's right. Always fun assisting, a lot of learnings. And this is a great thing, like what this industry has given me is the opportunity for me to grow as a human being, not only as a professional, a therapist, a coach, a healer, but a human being that be able to interact people with differently and be able to think differently, have the critical thinking, understand, well, where's this person coming from? Not just read in between the lines, think in between the thoughts, right? To be able to understand the environment, the thinking that led them to where they are. And so I suppose I'm thinking that about you two guys. How did you two guys end up together? And Connect Coaching, you're making a bit of noise, which is awesome because, the two of you are not only wonderful human beings, but I know the space that you're coming from in terms of an authentic space, wanting to make a difference in this field. And you can see from all the people that have connected with you and all the replies and all the wishes. And, you got a program coming up, which, how can I not be there? So I'm there. Right. So tell us a bit about Connect Coaching, what your vision is and why both of you, or either one of you, feel it's needed in this space today. Because you've put it together because you felt there was a gap, right? There's a gap in the industry. Like where we are now, where the professional wants to go, there's a gap, and you're providing a service to help bridge that gap for people like myself and people in the industry, right? So tell us a bit about that and then what you got coming up.
I'll let you kick it off, Conor. You'd already started.
I sort of started the story. So obviously, Callum and I had worked together for 5.5 years, 6 years, very successfully. We had great flow. I love working with teams and I love getting a team working together. My favorite team in the world is the All Blacks, and who are now in the semi-final of the World Cup. So when the centre throws the ball, he doesn't even have to look to see where his teammate is. He just knows he's there to catch the ball. So when Cal and I work together, there's a huge amount of unconscious competence. And I know that if I throw the ball, he's going to be there to catch it. If he throws the ball, I'm going to be there to catch it. And that created magic. And then obviously, Cal had his second baby, took some time off, and I guess started putting things together. I guess in between changing nappies, I felt that it was my time to finish up at the Tad Gems company. I've been there for nearly 20 years. My dad had passed away the year before. Then literally 6 weeks later, I broke my leg and my whole life slowed down. So it's funny. We both were going through big changes in our lives at that time. But but the conversation really picked up when I officially had finished up from TJC, and Cal rang me and said, "Hey mate, I've got Connect Coaching, and I'm about to, do some amazing things with it. Would you like to jump in?" And I barely skipped a beat, and I said, "Absolutely." So that's how it all sort of started and was built from there. And we've literally only been going for 2 months. It's still very, very early days, but it feels like we've been here for much longer. We've already of what we've accomplished. And in terms of where we go from here, I've been doing all the talking. I'll hand the baton over to Callum, and he can carry on.
Well, before he talks, I just want to acknowledge we've got people watching from all over the place. So who we got? We got people from the Philippines. We've got people from all over Australia. Myrta's here. Elizabeth Prantowski's here. Eliana's here. Mandy, some Mandy Healy's here as well too. So
Mandy here, is she?
So look, if you're
my number one fan.
Maybe post, what's a memory you have with these guys, something that maybe we can share, and whether it's a professional memory or a fun memory, just, something that, let's get lighthearted, but we'll see if that happens there. But Callum, tell us, so take over from what Conor's saying with Connect Coach.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was looking at doing something different, as I moved on from the Tad James company as well, I didn't really want to compete in the certification space, in the NLP space, in the timeline therapy space, the hypnosis space. And it made me really think about what it was that I loved doing at the Tad James company and what really lit me up. And what really lit me up were the relationships that I built with the trainers. I came on board with the Tad James company in 2017, and Conor put me in charge of the coaching and mentoring for the trainers training group. And at the time, I didn't think that was what I was there for. I actually thought I wanted to be a trainer, and I ended up becoming a trainer for Tad. But I thought that that's where my direction that I wanted to go in was, being a trainer. But after working really, really closely with the trainers that were coming to trainers training, and not only working with them, but helping them actually get to the training and making sure that they stay there. Because as you know, Arthur, a lot of people from trainers training like to pull the pin before they even get to the training. It really lit me up. It made me feel like I was a part of something bigger than myself. It made me feel like I was plugged into something that was actually making a real impact on the planet. And it showed me just how powerful that trainer's experience was, and how it actually people talk about the transformation they go through at master practitioner training, but for me, the real transformation that occurs in people that completely changes their whole being is actually the trainer's training process.
100%. Having the Conor before, that was the one training which just recalibrates the whole neurology.
It is. And being there, because at the other trainings, you can kind of sneak off out of the room and you can hide in the back row. At trainers training, being that you have to get up in front of everybody and present every day, and get feedback from some of the best in the world, you are in the spotlight, and it does make you face your stuff. There's no avoiding anymore. So being a part of that, and having, being the person that people lent on, being the person that people look to for motivation, the person that they look for help and certainty, and getting them through those challenging moments, was what really, really lit me up. And then because of that relationship I had, because of the connection I built through that process, afterwards, when they were putting on their first practitioner training and when they put on their first master practitioner training, they were calling me, asking for advice on how to do it. Because when I left trainers training at the same time as you, Arthur, I put on 5 practitioner trainings and 1 master prac in the first 12 months of business. So I was doing that as an owner operator, and I knew all the things that get in the road when you're an owner operator, having to do all the administration yourself, all the sales yourself, all the logistics, everything, present, and make sure that people attend your events. It's incredibly challenging. And I knew what it felt like to be on my own, out there doing it on my own. So it was an absolute pleasure for me to actually be that person for people to call. And like Conor said earlier, even if they didn't call, knowing that you were there to help them was really what lit me up. And through that, discovering new business ideas and strategies that they could implement to refine their approach, and also taking those ideas with Conor and implementing them at the TJC, we started to see some pretty impressive results. One of the biggest problems that we saw in the industry was that we had so many fantastic coaches out there, so many fantastic trainers out there, but they just didn't know the business side of the business that could help alleviate all those pressures and all that energy that you have to put in on the ground level to get it off the ground in order to focus on what you love, which is training and coaching. So we wanted to be like virtual.
Just on that, because I want to make a point. You make an awesome point there about being able to understand the business. And this is my take, what I'm getting from you, and enough from the experience of both of you. When you're talking about business, you're talking about all the elements required in the business, because you've been the owner-operator, Callum. You know, most people today, they come into this field, as you know, and there's so much noise. Let's get the latest funnel. Let's get the latest business coach. Let's do a challenge. Let's do this. Let's create 6 figures, blah, blah, blah. You know, all these coaches become coaches to train coaches to create 6 figures without actually, who's actually helping people? If all the coaches are going to train coaches to make money, it's a multi-level marketing scam, right? You need someone to be able to help people, someone to know how to develop a business from grassroots, because all those obstacles that you mentioned before, they're still there. And for someone to stay in the industry, to have longevity, as Conor said before, you need to stay connected to your why. You got to connect it to your passion. You got something to pull you through. And if this is what you guys are putting together, like with the workshops that you got coming up, your university that you've yet to mention, maybe pull it out of the bag, and the advisory board, boy, that's something we got to look at. Hey, probably another.
Yeah, I mean, it's a way that we can still be a part of that ripple effect, Arthur. It's the way that we can, I guess, continue that transformational experience that's happening on the planet at the moment. If we can make more of those trainers help more people, and take some of the things off their plate, so they don't have to be focusing on it all the time, and peddling, expending all this energy just in that rat race, like you said, of the latest funnel or the latest marketing ploy. If they can actually do what we have created and developed, which is Conor's sales process, which is what we call the Forever Client Matrix, and learn how you can actually build those relationships over a long period of time, so you can continue to serve and continue to help those people, and have them keep coming back to you. I think that's the most efficient way of doing it. And it's actually a way that, like you've experienced with your relationship with Conor and your relationship with me is something that flourishes and continues to flourish over a period of time.
And I want to acknowledge that, Callum, because we talked up Conor before, so let me talk you a little bit.
Okay.
I know we did the trainers train together in 2014, but it was, you standing up and providing that support to the trainer, because I was in the assistant program back in the rooms, right? And that the year when I became a master trainer, the stuff that was going on, and I was going to do certain things, the way you communicated and talked to me, I felt you were there for me, right? And you're helping me make a decision for me, not for anyone else, a decision for me. And I felt, not because we had that rapport and that connection from stuff that we've done together, because that's what you genuinely cared and what you wanted to do. And that was a difference. And I think that's why it's so beautiful that you guys have come together to do what you do. So saying that, because we've gone an hour, we can stay another hour if you want it. That's okay.
An hour already?
We can go into a training if you want. Colin's got
I turn back into a dad at 5 o'clock, so I'm going to have to go at 5.
Yeah. But what I want to do is, you got something coming up. You got a training coming up, right? So, which is the communication skills, the sales skills. So, give us a plug for that. Tell what can people expect from that, and why would someone who's a health entrepreneur who wants to chart new horizons, because that's what we call this talk, Conor, why do they need to be there? And Callum, congratulations with your setup, mate. I love someone who's got a microphone. You can hear a voice crisp. It's a big difference in today's world, mate. You got to have the setup. I showed Conor my setup before.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
He's got his little virtual screen there, and he's simplistic.
Yeah, I like to focus on the things that. I focus on my clients. The background's just noise.
Okay,
I'll let you unpack the training, Conor, since it's a model of your excellence.
Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate that. One thing that I noticed early on is that I'm not I love closing, but I'm not a hard closer. The relationships I build are for life, and people, when I have a conversation with someone, most people will end up buying. Most people, about half, buy at the time that we're actually talking. but people always come back. I even got a text message 2 days ago from an old, person I spoke with a year ago. She's in Malaysia saying, I now want to do your $7,000 training, because I had that conversation with her a year ago. So my analogy, Arthur, is that so many people, as you said, are in that rat race, the new funnel, the new this, the new that. If they actually, what happens is that, imagine I'm picking up potatoes from the potato field. What happens nowadays is that, and I know this because I've coached so many people, is that they spend so much time putting potatoes in their sack, filling up the sack, filling up the sack, filling up the sack. But because of how they've structured their business, or how they've structured themselves within the business, there's a hole in the bottom, and their focus is only about filling up that sack. They'll put 5 potatoes in, 3 fall out. 5 potatoes in, 3 fall out. It's a very slow, high demanding process that takes up a lot of your energy. What we noticed is that when I sell and when I build relationships, it sticks. People want to stick around. They want to, it's based on value. It's not based on selling. It's based on trust and a relationship. So I'm putting 5 potatoes in, I'm putting 10 potatoes in, I'm putting 20 potatoes in my potato sack here, and maybe 1 will fall out. But that growing over time gets exponentially larger. So that's why I'm not about get rich quick overnight, because it's not going to last. It's like staying in first gear. You want to drive from Sydney to Melbourne, staying in first gear. It just doesn't last. So you need to learn how to use all the gears at the right time with the right strategies from someone who's sold more courses and trainings over the phone than literally anyone else in the world and has the strategy down pat. So how do we do it? The first part is the mindset. And one thing that I'm incredibly excited about is that over the last 2.5 months, Callum, who's one of the best modelers I've ever met, has literally unpacked everything that I've done in my calls. And we are going to be installing with hypnosis and other transformational tools, NLP and some time.
We're going to have all these Conors running around.
It will be like something you've never done before. It's an installation process of values, beliefs, attitudes, decisions that I've made, and concepts and thoughts. And it gets installed over about 1 hour. I think it's going to be half an hour to an hour of complete installation. And this is on day 1. And we actually call it because I had a closing ratio of above 50%. Now, if you closed above 50% of everyone you spoke with, you'll be infinitely busy and successful in your business. And you won't even have to do that many sales. So we have there's a belief protocol called the 50% plus belief protocol that gets installed in you. My nickname is Metaphor Man. I can create a metaphor out of nothing, and it's something that I enjoy doing it.
Here comes Metaphor Man.
And with
we're getting people saying, we got Carol Johnson's here. She can't wait for your next training with you two guys.
Carol, how are you?
Esther's going, give me the link, right? Woohoo Team Connects. The people are reaching out and saying it's great to have you here and wanting to come and do stuff with you again. This installation is going to be out of this world.
It's a game changer. No one has ever done it before. It's the very first time. And I've been in this industry for 20 years. So what are we bringing that no one else has done before?
Mandy's got to watch out, because she's going to be all these Conors turning up to Bateman's Bay. Hold on, this isn't where we live.
Just remember, it's in the context of selling trainings, nothing else.
So we unpacked my metaphor strategies. I literally give a whole bunch of my metaphors that help people go across any resistance that they have in their mind before moving forward. And most importantly is we have, I've got a flip chart here, which you can't see, but it's visual hallucination. Imagine there's
unconsciously, which is pretty cool.
So what I realize is that many people sell based on surface structure, and that's not what is going to get you a result. People buy anything emotional, buying a coaching package, buying a high-level personal development training, or a coaching certification training, or even a kinesiology training would be up there. If you want to buy the whole package, it's up there in the top 5 purchases in someone's life, if not the top 10. So it's an emotional purchase. So you have to learn how to peel away the layers of the onion on that phone call to get down to the part of them that is actually going to get plugged into emotionally. And a lot of people sell. If someone says, I want to learn your technique, or why do you want to learn it? They give a reason, and they'll go on a tangent on that one reason. That's actually not where people buy. So you need to get 2 or 3 layers below where you get to their heart or stomach. And when you can connect on that level, then that deep level of trust is there. There's a system, there's a process, and we even know where the resistance is going to be. So once you can overcome those resistance bands, those resistant lines within that conversation through frames and metaphors, it's simply a conversation you're having with someone, and the close is like the smallest part we focus on, because they've already bought. It's not about them buying. They've already bought. It's about how to make it work within their life so that they come attend your training. And that's, you're nutting out logistical questions. You're not nutting out hard closing questions.
Yeah, and what you're saying is not just turning up to your training, turning up to your coaching program, where, whether you're doing one-on-one with a client or you're doing a training, or group training, whatever the case is. This is applicable to everyone. And what I want to say I know Callum said in the context of business, but this is, Tony Robbins says business is a spiritual game. So this is in the context of your personal evolution.
100%. Whilst we're putting it together, we actually realize this is a personal development training with a sales skill set that you're getting along the way. For me, the mindset.
Let me tell you, this is a feeling. My feeling is it's a training on influence.
Yeah,
right? And when you talk about influence is a capacity to be able to affect someone's thinking and decisions. They can go both ways, right? Positive or negative. That's just the polarity, the charge. But with the intention and the humbleness and the authenticity from you two guys, to be able to help people have that influence with their kids, have the influence with their clients, have the influence with their friends, have the influence with the peers in the colleagues and peers in the industry. That's how you're gonna collectively, as a collective, create change and planetary change.
100%. If you're physically fit, the number of possibilities that you have in your life, if an opportunity comes up that requires anything physical, you're more likely to say yes, and you're more likely to create more of them. If you have the agility and you have the communication skills and you have the influence skills, the more opportunities that come up in your life, you are going to be jumping at those, and you'll see more of them because you can take on more. And that is actually the fundamental reason how business growth comes about, is because the person who's actually growing the business believes that they can, but first they have to believe in themselves and the skill set that they have in terms of communication and influence.
Okay, so if people want to get involved, let's get a link in these chats. So I've got
Get
my
the link in
virtual
the
assistant,
chat.
Patricia, if you can put the link in all the Facebook groups, so that we're going live in my personal group, into YouTube and to LinkedIn. And if people want to know more, they can either get hold of these guys or just enroll. Because
just enroll. If you sell anything, you'll get a return on investment like within the next phone call you have.
Out there right now. As an investment, seriously, I think it should be the first one that you're only going to have at $7.95, right?
It is, yes. It is absolutely the first one we'll have at $7.95. The only one we'll have at $795.
Yeah.
We wanted to reward people for taking action early.
We want to reward our network more than anything. Yeah. This is we haven't done any paid marketing or anything for this. This is just for our network. Yeah. And we're getting inundated with people wanting to attend, and that's what we wanted to do for that price.
And I think, Callum, what it's going to do, it's going to bring the like-minded people that have come through that same process together in a group, where so much can happen from that group. I mean,
I agree.
There was already things happening because of that group that's coming together in November that we're not even aware of yet.
In fact, the thing that proves the model is the fact that people are coming to this training. Because those people are people who have experienced this model before. So I'm excited.
And they're people who have created successful businesses themselves. I did a masterclass on Saturday night to 100 coaches in Pakistan. Literally within a few hours of the webinar, we get our first message saying, I put into place one of your frames and I signed up my coaching client. Purely because they had the certainty and had the structure in order to do it. Immediate results. Yes, I get.
Well, the links are out so that people can connect and register in the program. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not only looking forward to actually being in the room and learning again, white belt mentality, take my hats off and get this installation so I can become Conor. But also, just sharing space, not only with you two guys, but like-minded in the community. Callum, I know you said you needed to go, but I want to ask you a question. You were there with the TJC, the great man was there, Tad, and obviously Adrian and Bogdan and Conor. I asked him the question. I'm asking you, what's the one takeaway? What's the one moment that you can look back with your time with the TJC, which was, it was probably one of these moments. It was a, one of those moments for you that you look back and say, that was instrumental actually helping you become the person you are today.
Look, there's so many. I think that just heading up the back of the room for trainers training and having Conor there as a mentor was definitely pivotal to me being where I am today. But I think one of the I'd like to share a story about Tad. Actually, it was in the Accelerated Personal Evolution program, and you knew Tad, Arthur. You know how he was a man of brevity, and he often had a way with words where he was able to simplify very, very complex things into a couple of words. And he was sharing something with me about my astrological birth chart, and I kept doing the meta model with him and trying to chunk him down. And Tad goes to me, "Hey, Callum, the more specific I get, the less it'll apply to you." And if you think about that, for those people who have been trained in NLP, they'll realize how genius those couple of lines were. So that was just an insight into his genius, and gave me a lot of insights into my own personal development.
Well, Callum, I want to thank you for spending some time hopping in for the last half hour. And Conor, we've gone an hour and 15 minutes, so might have to have a part 2. I don't know.
We could have a part 2.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Arthur. I really appreciate it.
It's a real pleasure, connecting with you guys again, seeing what you guys are doing with the Connect Coaching movement. And, if anyone's watching here, in our group, the Rise of the Aligned Modern Day Practitioner, this is the modern day mentoring team that you want to have in your corner. And so if you're a therapist, you're a coach, you're a healer, or you're an aspiring therapist, coach, or healer, if you want the certifications, come to us. If you want to build your business, you go to them.
It's a great,
yeah. And there's a lot of wonderful other trainers here that are listening, and there's so many great trainers who deliver this stuff. But I love what you're doing, like the Missy Link, to actually help trainers, coaches who've got businesses, whether it's a business in training or business in one-on-one coaching or group coaching, whatever, to be able to build their business, staying aligned with their purpose. Yeah. Because here's what I've seen: like when I first started 27 years ago, people came into this field because they had their own healing with their own therapist, and go, "Oh my God, I want to make a difference. I want to get in this field." People got in this field because they generally cared for other people and they want to make a difference. Right? Today, a lot of people just get in the field because they see it as a money-making scheme. It's like, coaching is a growing thing in the industry, right? Well, as you said before, Conor, if you're just in it for the money, you're not going to last long. Yeah. You're here to make a difference. And
I have to say, I'm very proud of the amount of sales I've made in this industry. But all that is a reflection of how much growth I've helped people make within themselves. The money is just a reflection. It's not the be all and end all at all. It's simply a reflection of the number of people, the sheer number of people who have stepped forward and made.
I love what you said there, because I was just having a chat with a friend on last night, actually, after my training, and I was thinking, the income, the money, the 6 figures, the 7 figures, that's a result, and so many people focus on the extrinsic result. Like, yes, we set a goal and they hustle to get there. Right? But that goal, that result, is actually the outcome, the fruition of the person that you have become. Yes, it's working 100%. On who you need to be that'll determine what you do. That will look after itself. But if you're just looking after that, you're failing to actually be the person that's required in this industry. And people see that. People can feel that. And
they can smell it. They can smell it a mile away. You're right. You can get a worksheet and be told what to do and what to say. So we are how to think. So it means that if any hurdle comes up, you don't have to look for a worksheet on how to overcome that hurdle. You have the certainty and confidence in yourself to overcome any business hurdle that comes up, because you've been taught how to think and how to critically think and how to think within the business context. And
it means you become self-reliant as well. You don't have to rely on us anymore. If you know how to do it yourself, you don't have to keep plugging into us. You are often running on your own.
And I love that, because the whole intention of a client coming to you is actually have them not become a client.
Correct.
Have them to move on. And that makes space for other people to come through. But some people just hold on. They hold on tight, thinking, well, now you're mine. You can't go anywhere else. And, no one owns anyone, and no one owns any information. This is just, everyone borrows everyone's stuff. It's collective consciousness. We're here to play our part. Here's my piece. You got a piece. You got a piece. Together we can make this puzzle.
On that note, thanks, gents. I'm going to go
Thank you,
turn into a
Callum.
dad. I'll see
And
you
yes,
soon.
and what we're going to go to. So everyone that was watching, we want to thank everyone on social media, the Facebook platform, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you're catching on a replay, just say hashtag replay, ask a question, go to the links which are in there. These guys can help you. We'll be there as well too. And wherever you're listening from, thank you so much. We'll see you in our next episode. Guys, you can hang on. I know you need to go, Callum, but we will say goodbye to Facebook land. We'll put on our last top of little thought. See you guys on Facebook land, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Callum and Conor. I really appreciate you guys.